Okay, so we are doing a second one, and we're going to start with a homework turn-in problem. Okay, one moment. I need to adjust how I'm sitting. I'm going to be writing now. Oops. Okay, so this is, in one sense, a simple interest problem, but it is wrapped up in as much confusing English paragraph stuff as possible. So let's unpack all of this stuff.
That's probably why my brain collapsed.
Yes, that's kind of designed to make your brain collapse. That simple interest problems are sort of all the same. So the only way to see if you really know them is to collapse your brain and see what happens. So Bluebeard has a balance of $1,834.90. And so this is, first of all in 1 month. So I should write that. So that month his principal is $1,834.90. The annual percentage rate is 22.4%. So we have to share that because that's an annual percentage rate. Fortunately for us, our credit cards don't charge us 22% every month. That would be like 1/5 of your credit card bill every month, right? We would all go broke immediately. So this needs to be shared among the 12 months. So it's not a 0.224, that's per year. We need to make that shared among 12 months. So we're going to do a divided by 12. And that's how much interest he has to pay each month. So what is that? I have to take out my calculator, 0.224 divided by 12. Okay, if I wanted to write that as a percent, I could write it as 1.86666%, but I'm going to multiply them anyway. When I'm using my calculator, right now I have that long repeating decimal on my calculator, so I don't need to round it. If I had hit something else on my calculator, I would type it in with lots of 6s, as many fit on the screen, so that I'm not rounding in the middle of a problem. So I'm getting $34.25. Everyone get the same on their calculators?
No, I got $34.129.
0.129, let's see.
I got the 30.
That's what happens if you leave off the repeatingness of the 6. So put lots of 6s in the calculator as you're typing it. So that's his interest. If you're off by a few cents in real life, it's not going to really matter, but put in the 6s, quit habit. So the question is, how much less is the interest compared to the minimum payment? His credit card bill says, please write a check for $36.70. So if he does that, then how much actually goes past the interest to pay off his credit card?
$2.45.
Not very much. So this is how credit cards work. They want you to pay off the interest because that's how they make their money. But they don't want you to pay off much more than that because, okay, what was it? $2.45? If you pay off your principal, then they're not going to make more money next month. So hopefully all of you have paid off all of your credit card debt, but in general, this is how it works.
I can't see the one on the bottom. It's too low on the screen.
Too low on the screen. I can move it. Let me make another copy. Have you tried making the Zoom full screen? Yeah, come back. I'm sorry, now my Zoom is popping up a thing at the bottom of the screen, so I can't. Okay, so there's the bottom.
Where did you get the 3670 from?
Because it told me that in the problem. The minimum payment is $36.70. So we had to take the minimum payment subtract the interest, and whatever else, he actually pays off his credit card debt slightly.
So for, you know how we have to do a book report? I'm wondering if there's any books about how to effectively read word problems.
I've never found one, but that doesn't mean there isn't one, and I haven't checked recently. So,
Well, I emailed you this morning that I wanted to get a book, and I don't know how to go about doing that.
okay. What people have done mostly is either rescheduled one book drop-off at a nearby middle school parking lot one day, and then afterwards people have just been coming by. I leave something on the front wall of my bottom of my driveway by the sidewalk, and they hop out of their car, take the book, wave, and keep going. So
Okay, well, maybe we can schedule something like that.
I have lots of books in my garage. It's easy for someone to swing by and grab them.
All right.
When I was a kid, the best book ever for making me love math was Aha Insight. And this is one that I think I have more than one copy of and you could borrow. And this is the book of cocktail party math problems. So Martin Gardner wrote the cute math logic problems for Scientific American for many, many years. And this was his collection of them. So it is all sorts of things that aren't terribly practical, but are short and fun, and his illustrations are very amusing, and it reads very easily. If you have kids that love math, this would be a great present for them. and so on. But it's not really a how to do this kind of word problem book. But it might be that if you were to read some of AHA Insight after borrowing it, then this kind of thing would make more sense. I'm not sure how much it transfers. It might be that these problems don't bother me as much because I read that other book that wasn't like this when I was young. But if you search somewhere and find a great book on how to do word problems, then you can always email me that and I'll have the math division buy it and you can borrow it so you don't have to spend your money.
All right, thank you.
Okay, other homework questions?
Mine's not a homework question, but it's about the multiplication quiz.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no instruction on how to actually do that, and I'm super confused by it. Probably easier than what I'm making it out to be, but
yeah, well, it's better than this one, which doesn't even have a suggested time limit. So the idea is that if you're trying to reduce and unreduce fractions, and if this was a normal term when you had a time limit on your end of term exams, then some good times table practice might be helpful to people because lots of people haven't done times tables in years. So this page just gives you a nice thing to print out so that it keeps your numbers organized as you're doing the multiplication. It gives you two 5-digit numbers to multiply. So
Yeah.
write them on the page and see if in 3 minutes you can do the multiplication.
so wait, do you just write them anywhere? That's what I'm confused by. Is like, where do you start at on it? Like, where do you put those
Let me
numbers?
grab it this way then. It's not all going to fit on a Jamboard slide, but so if this is the top of it, then this one would be the 78,523 from here, and this one would be the 94. These are just completely random digits, right? There's nothing. And then multiply from there. 3 times 4 is 12. Oops, 12. 2 times 4 is 8. Carry the 9, and so on.
Wait, go back to that for a second. Like, wait it. So you go up and down or side to side, like that's what I have no idea how you're doing that.
Okay, so that's something that I don't want to spend class time on, but I can either help you with after class or make a little video or something like that.
A little video would be fantastic. I have some stuff to do after class, so.
Okay. So if you could do that much multiplying in 3 minutes, then you're certainly good for a timed Math 20 final. This term, it's not a big deal because your final isn't timed. This one, I'm not sure how long it takes. So try this sum. It's just a 10-item matching thing. It gets you a star. And I don't know, is it like 1 minute? Is it 3 minutes? It's not going to be long, whatever it is. But did you know you have like 10 different ways to think about 47 hundredths? So realize how smart you are. Ta-da.
How do you want us to turn that in?
Just tell me you've done it.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Any other on the mad science percentages homework?
There was a chat question from Josh about going over simple interest.
Sure, yes, let's do number 9. Actually, let me see if I can find a random one so I'm not giving away the homework. Okay, let's do number 6. So simple interest is almost what we did with the credit card. The credit card, we had a principal and a rate. We were saying basically what is 1.8666% of $1,834.90. Of means multiply, so we multiplied. We didn't have to worry about a time because this is just a 1 month. This is one credit card bill he gets. So the time frame wasn't something we had to think about. In general, with simple interest, the time frame is. So here's a problem that has 3 numbers. It has a principal, it has a simple interest rate, and it has a time. Now, I just lied to you. We did talk about the time in the Blackbeard one. Where did we do that? Right here. He didn't pay the full 22.4% each month. We split that up so that we got a 1 month amount of interest. We're going to do a similar but different thing. We're going to say this interest amount is for a full year. We don't have a full year, so we need to make it smaller. The formula, if I wait over here, says that for our simple interest, we're going to take the principal and the interest rate for 1 year, kind of a sloppy. Oh, okay. And then we're going to multiply it by how many years this goes on. If it was exactly a year, we'd put a 1 there. If it was a 2-year loan, we would put a 2 there. In this case, it's less than a year. It's 113 days. So it's a fraction of a year. So this is a fraction less than 1. So it's going to shrink the 15%. Just like we took Blackbeard's percent and made it smaller to find just a monthly amount. We're not dividing by 12 because there's nothing in this problem about months. We're just saying what fraction of a year goes by. Now the fraction bar is just division. Right? For fractions to decimals, we do top divided by bottom. We've done that lots of times. So I'm going to write an extra line that you don't need to write. So this is what I'll actually put in the calculator, because the calculator for most of us, instead of a fraction bar, likes division. If you have a calculator with the fraction key, then this is an okay thing too. Some people don't write this line, and they will just go straight to this one. But I wanted to emphasize that we want to plug in something for years, and this is the fraction of a year that the word problem has. Okay, everyone's brains happy? I've written, you write one or the other or both, whatever makes sense to you. Okay, now I've plugged everything in, so the calculator does all the work. 4421 times 0.15 times 113 divided by 365, so $205.30.
Yeah, and this one I could totally understand that I had to do the days into, like I had to do 113 from 365, but on the other problem where I had to figure out the rate per 12 months, that's
Okay.
just where it all just went haywire for me.
Yeah, well, we didn't do one in class. So this one was a new thing we hadn't seen before. So that makes it tricky. All new things were hard. That's sort of one of the themes of Math 20. None of the math we do is actually hard, but anything new is hard. So once you do enough practice and it's not new anymore, then it becomes not hard. The other theme was that if you can't get it quickly, you're probably making it harder than it is. Okay, are we done? We need to always, with these interest problems, read it. Are they asking how much interest, or are they asking how much do they pay back at the end of the time? Because if they asked for the interest, like they did, then we're done. Let's put a box around our answer. If they said, how much does the business pay back? Then we'd have to add back in the loan. Because if they go to the bank after 113 days and pay the interest but keep the loan, they get in trouble. So check at the end. Do you have to add things up with the 4421, or are we're done, we're good? Should we do another one, or was that enough?
Can we do another one like the homework problem?
Another one like which one?
The homework problem?
Like the homework problem. Okay, I'll do one of your homeworks. Which one should we do? 8, 9, or 10?
I just want to know if we could do one like the last one we did, similar, like with the months.
And let's do 9. 9 has months. Okay, so you try this, and then after I pause, I will do it, and we'll see if we get the same thing. I will take attendance. Okay, ready for me to start?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to write this in 2 different ways because there are 2 different styles of how to do these kinds of formula things on paper. Some people just like plugging things in as soon as they can. So they'll say, I'm looking for the simple interest. The 8,000 is the principal. The interest rate, well, I need to make this into a decimal. And then the years, I have 2 months. So what am I going to write over here?
2 divided by 12.
Yeah, so 2 months divided by 12 months. Should I write my extra where the fraction turns into division? Does that help people? No one cares. Okay, then I won't. So 8,000 times 0.0942 times 2 divided by 12, $94.20. Everyone get the same?
No, I got 125.60.
That's what I got too.
Okay, maybe I hit something wrong on the calculator. Yes, I don't know what I typed wrong, but there we go. Wonder if I did 924. Maybe I messed up that way. Anyway, here we go. And yes, we put a box around it. It doesn't say find the total. It says find the simple interest, so we don't have to add the principal back on.
So we can take the year. So in the formula, you can take the years and you can divide it, and you can take the rate and you can divide it like we did in the math problem, the first one from
The
homework.
first one, let me actually go back to Blackbeard. So if we were to do Blackbeard this way, and if we had just done a bunch of these, I would have done Blackbeard this way the first time. Or Bluebeard, I'm sorry, I mix up my pirates. So we could do uh, 1 month out of. So that would be the way to write it. 34.25. Right, so that's all of the Bluebeard problem, just written less. Does that make more sense?
So will we ever see the principal where we have to do something to the principal part of it? Like we've done something to the years part, we've done something to the interest rate part.
The interest rate you generally don't do stuff to. I would keep thinking this way now that
Okay.
you've seen the formula.
Okay,
The interest rate, we riplop it,
right.
right? But we
Right.
don't tend to actually do stuff to it.
What
So-
about the principal part? Will we find problems where we have to do stuff to the
No.
principal part?
Principal, we just give it to you.
Okay.
Maybe, I might be lying. Let's see, we had. Not in there. No, there's a Math 25 version. I will just show you real quick. Where, no, not that. Maybe it's a random one for 20. Let's check that. Nope, maybe it's a random one there. Aha, so this one. So you won't see this. This is Math 25, but just because you ask. No, go away. Okay. Does everyone know what a post-dated check is?
Yeah.
So this story is me trying to be clever and make Math 25 harder than Math 20, but you can do this. So how much is the principal here? she wrote the post-dated check for $852.61, and then the principal was $843. So we have the interest when you subtract those, but you still don't do anything funny to find the principal. Okay, I'm going to erase that. You don't care. And the short, whoops.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you
The
taking
short
the time
answer
to yeah, I
Yep.
just,
never
I-
flip it with the principal.
yeah,
So
trying to
principal we
expand
give
my
you-
mind around things right now, so.
Principal we give you, the rate you riplop and don't do anything else, and the time is what requires adjusting. So when we did Bluebeard the first time, then think about this as the time, not really changing the rate. Then you'll only have one thing in your brain. Okay, I did want to do the number 9 a different way though, because some people don't like jumping right away to plugging in the 8,000 and plugging in the interest rate and plugging in the years. What they want to do, which is a good thing, is to say if anything tricky happens, it's not going to be after we plug things into the formula. That's just the calculator doing lots of stuff. The trickiness happens as we plug things in. So let's write that out carefully. So they will list these people, all of the things in the formula and in some separate space. Now they have all this room on their paper to figure out what goes wrong so that nothing tricky surprises them. So simple interest is what we're solving for. And right here, they could put not the total so that they know when they get to the end, they don't have to add back on the 8,000. The principal is the 8,000. We'll take our rate. And the years. So all the funniness with the riplop and the part of the year happens in their planning section. Then when they actually plug things in, whatever that one was, 125.60. They know that once they get to here, everything is easy. They're just putting things in. They've already thought about it, and the calculator does all the work. So for some people, this page is best. Let's write as little as possible. I trust myself to not make mistakes as I'm plugging things in. For other people, I would rather write more. All this blue text is important to me. I don't want to make a careless mistake, especially on a test. I want to see my thinking so that at week 10, I can go back and say, what was happening? Why is there a 2 over 12? And so on. So personal style. You can write very little, or you can list everything in the formula and keep track of what's happening first. Questions or comments about that? Okay. Are we done with simple interest? Should we do even more? Let's go back up.
I think we can move forward.
I'm guessing we should do number 5, actually. I'm astounded no one has asked about number 5. Anyone going to complain if I do number 5?
Nope.
Okay, so a whole week ago, we did this part. We had the 1 plus trick, where if I want to take 140 and go up 12%, then I could find 12% of 140 and then add that back on to 140 as 2 steps. I could say, what's 12% of 140? 0.12 times 140. I'd get $16.80, and then I'd add it back on. But it was more efficient to say that 2 things are going on. If I want to multiply 140 by 0.12, that makes it get bigger by 12%. If I also multiply 140 by 1, something times 1 is itself. So that keeps the 140 around, so it doesn't go away and have only the change dollars. So that was the 1 plus trick. We put a 1 in front of the plus 1, 0.12, so that we got to the new total right away. Does that ring a bell, even though it's been a whole week? Then it was a little trickier going down. If we said we start with $200 and we go down 15%, then the math is the same. Instead of taking 100% and making it bigger by 12%, we're taking 100% and making it smaller by 15% in this problem. But for most of us, it just seems like it's harder. Taking a number away from 1, getting a 0.85, just seems a little less natural than slamming a 1 in front of a decimal point. The math is the same. This is 100%. So this is 12% more than 100% because we want 12% more than 100%. This is 100%, and this is 15% less because we want to go down from 100% by 15%. So with that review in mind, then what this problem says is we're given a number. To make sure you understand these 2 slides, we're not going to tell you if it's 140 or if it's 200. That doesn't matter. All we're asking for is this number and that number. So some number is around $500, who knows? We want to go up by 11%. The first time, and we want to go down by 11% another time. So whatever is here, or whatever we start with over here, that's going to be our 100%. Whatever that number is. So the answer here is 1.11. We're taking the 11% and putting a 1 in front. And if it helps, don't just write that, but write 2 steps. Okay. Oops. So we don't need to know what the number is, whether it's $100 or 500 pounds or 300 elephants, whatever it is. If it goes up by 11%, we multiply it by 1.11. If it goes down by 11%, we multiply it by 0.89.
And how did we get the 8.9 again? Since we
It-
started at 11, is there a or like you have on the increase
We
side?
did 100 minus 11. Just like here, we did 100 plus 11. So here we had to take the 100 and make it 11 bigger. Here we started at the 100 and made it 11 smaller, so we subtracted. So I am going to make the next slide be just a copy of this one. So you don't have to, after class, say, what was the other Jamboard he was talking about? Questions about that? This is much more abstract. You don't in Math 20 get very many problems at all where there's some number that you have to work with, but you aren't told it. It's just some number. What do we do? But you can make it bigger or smaller even though you don't know what it is. Okay, now I will actually trust you when you say you're done with percentages and simple interest. Oops. And- Okay, so unit analysis, we should review that also. We're not going to get to anything new today, which is fine, not a problem. That's today. Remember this process from last class? let's do one of these. Let's do all of them. So my first step when using a unit analysis was to write the number as a fraction. So 11 yards isn't a fraction. How do I make something a fraction when it's not?
Put it over 1.
Put it over 1. Then we need to change the rates to what we want. We're looking for inches. So there's a yards on top. I want it to cancel, so I need a yards on bottom. Do I know how many inches are in a yard? Maybe you do, but I'm going to pretend I don't. Pretend I only know that 3 feet is a yard. So now I'm in feet. And partly there, I have a feet on top. I want it to cancel, so I need another feet on the bottom. Can I go from feet to inches? Sure, that one I know. So I had a plan, and it got me, so the only word left is inches, because that's what I want. Step 3 is fill in the numbers. There's 3 feet in a yard, and there's 12 inches in a foot. You can do steps 2 and 3 together. The only reason they're separate steps is that if your plan wasn't working, you wouldn't have to erase as much. Then we multiply. How do you multiply fractions? You multiply across the top and bottom separately. 11 times 3 times 12. And the only word that's left is inches. And 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1, and there's no words left. So what is that? 396 inches. The last step, how do you turn a fraction into a decimal? You do top divided by bottom. In this case, it's quite trivial because it's over 1 anyway. And we're done. So all we've done is a times 3 and a times 12. This whole process was just so we can't be confused. We know that there's a 3 from 3 feet per yard. We know there's a 12 from 12 inches in a foot. Are we going to divide? Are we going to multiply? If we're not used to this, or if we're taking a test and our brain decides to shut down, then we might do the wrong thing. But this process had no choices. It told us what to do in every step. I had to put this yards on the bottom so it would cancel with the other yards on the top. I had to put this feet on the bottom so it would cancel with that feet on the top. So since I never had to make any choices, I can't make any wrong choices. So if you are happy to do this a simpler way, you can. The point of this is that it is a little long, just for multiplying by 3 and multiplying by 12, but you will always get the right answer. So let's do another one. Was it 15 last time? I don't remember. Is it always about that big? I don't remember how much he drank last time. I'd like it to be different, but we can do the same problem twice.
Last time we did 14 cups.
Okay, well, let's find something bigger than 14, much bigger than 14. No, there's 14 itself. Well, I should have stuck with 18. Oh, that's pretty different. Okay, same steps. 11 isn't a fraction. So put it over 1. I want to get from cups to gallons. Can I do that in one step? Sure. Anyone need my little picture of how many cups are in a gallon from that other lecture? Somebody should say yes. There we go. Okay. Whoops, I made a mistake. There's no cups left. I don't want to talk about how much to round this, round it or not. Who really cares? He's drinking a lot of coffee. Oh, I'm not
That
done.
gives us per day,
Yeah, I'm
and
not.
then we need per year.
Sorry. Okay. I'm answering the wrong question. I was doing how many cups. This is 11 cups per 1 day. Thank you, thank you. So we also need to get rid of the day. So this day is on the bottom. I need 1 on top, so they'll cancel. And then 365 days in a year. Now when I multiply, I was suspecting that looked tiny. Okay, all better. Ready for the last one?
I just have one other question here because I'm getting confused with the black lettering there of 16 years.
Because as you go across, The only word is years, so that stays around.
Okay,
Just like when I went on the top, the only word left was gallons, so that stays around.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, tell me what to do next. You describe it, I will write it.
Would you put the 16 yards on the bottom?
I wouldn't put the 16 on the bottom, but I do have a yards on top. What
Yeah,
I
the 16 yards on the, then you multiply, would you put the 16 yards on the bottom of the, right there?
yeah, I will put the yards on the bottom. I want miles per hour, so I have to get out of yards. I don't do anything yet with the 16. That doesn't happen until step 4 when I multiply. What can I change yards into?
Can you do feet?
Feet. Okay, if you happen to know how many miles or and yards go together, how many yards are in a mile, you could do that, but most people don't have that one memorized. What next?
How many miles in a foot?
Yeah. 3 feet in a yard. Where do I put feet, top or bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom, because I have one in the top, so I want them to cancel. Okay, I'm halfway there. I have miles on the top. That's what I want. Yay. Now I just need to get hours in the bottom.
The next one is minutes and over hours.
Minutes over hours. And why is it minutes on top?
Minutes are on the bottom before.
Yeah. They were on the bottom before. I need one of each, so the other one has to be on top. So multiplying on top, we have 16 times 3 times 1 times 60, with miles being the only thing left. On the bottom, we have 8.4 times 1, 5,280 times 1, with only hours on the bottom. I don't normally write out all the ones. I decided to this time. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that times 1 doesn't do anything. So if it helps you to write them out, go ahead and do that. If you skip all of that, that's fine too, because all that we really care about is 2,880 on the top. And 44,352 hours on the bottom. So not very fast.
Is the answer counted wrong if it doesn't have miles per hour in the box?
The answer counted wrong if you don't label the miles per hour? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
It's a word problem, so yeah, you should label it. Especially after you went through so much work to make it miles per hour. And there you go. Okay, let's do a preview of what's happening next. I don't really want to officially start things because we only have 10 minutes and that would be foolish. Whoops, but. So we've done the unit analysis. Next time we meet, we're going to talk about polygons and we're going to destroy pieces of paper. So back at the very first class, I ripped up pieces of paper to show you about different ways to think about division. For next class, you're going to bring a few rectangular pieces of paper that you can fold. I'll describe them in the email. And we're going to talk about perimeter and area. And we're going to do paper folding. So, folding pieces of paper. And find out what all the formulas are for these shapes. And by the end of class, you can just look at this kind of thing and without your calculator find the area, even of the more complicated shapes. Then we're going to talk about circles. So if you happen to have a piece of string, you could wrap string around your arm or around your head, and we'll talk about circle distance around and across, and we'll get the formulas for that and figure out why they work. And then there's this animated thing where if I take the distance around a circle, that red string, and unroll it, it's a little bit more than 3. So there's the red string, and we unroll the string, and where does it land? And then we have one more interesting picture here. So next class will be, and then we do problems. Next class will be a bunch of things with how does geometry really work. I'm assuming you know these formulas. If you don't, that's fine. But the idea is, yeah, area is 1/2 base times height, but why? Why is it like that? So that's what we'll do next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm making a note to myself to remind you to bring pieces of paper and string. Okay, any other questions? Any other thing you want me to do one more problem of while we have time?
I'm good. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Maybe I'll see you Friday at that study session if you do that. And
Thank you.